Over the past 2 years of working with entrepreneurs and executives, one of the things that I've noticed is that people aren't failing because they're aiming too high. They're failing because they're never deciding to make a decision at all. And it's not because they're weak or they're unmotivated or they don't know what to do. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they're mentally exhausted and they just don't want to make these really big decisions because they haven't had time to actually process it. So, what I want to do is I want to talk about why that's happening. See, a lot of times we think that indecision is actually a confidence issue. And sometimes that is the case. It does happen. But what I'm finding more and more often is that it's actually an energy issue. One of the big problems that we have is decision fatigue. And what exactly is decision fatigue? What it is 100 different micro decisions that you have to make throughout your day that a lot of times we don't even notice. What is it that I'm going to eat? A notification just popped up on something. Am I going to look at that? A new email just came in. Am I going to respond to that thing? And it by themselves, they don't actually do anything. But when you stack them and they become hundreds and sometimes even into the thousands of micro decisions we have to make every day, it's burning our mental energy. Now, here's where we mess up. A lot of us know that. We'll say, oh, yeah, I'm spending a lot of mental energy on this. But we don't think that mental energy actually ties to physical energy, but it does. They actually did a study on like high level chess players, and there's not a lot of physical movement or exercise or anything going on in a chess match. But they found that over the course of like a day tournament, they can burn thousands of calories. Mental energy is just like having an iPhone open with hundreds of apps. No wonder all of a sudden your battery's at 50% before you even get to lunch. That's the exact same thing that's happening with us. The next problem that we make is that we think efficiency is just doing all of these things better and faster. And that's not the case at all. Normally, the only way that you can really solve this is through subtraction. Going back to the phone analogy, think about it. Do you go out and just buy a better charger? Or do you actually close some apps whenever you want to save battery during the day? It's the exact same thing with us. We need to eliminate certain things in our life so it doesn't come in and drain our energy. The other side of this is that modern life only makes this worse. We are the most advertised to generation in the history of mankind. Some studies show that people can interact with 5,000 to 10,000 ads a day. Okay, on top of that, the average executive is getting anywhere from 120 to 150 emails. We pick up our phone an average of 130 times a day. That's one pickup for every couple minutes. On top of that, you have Slack and you have Teams and all these other notifications from all your different software systems that are popping up. And it's so much. So there's two things that we need to be aware of when it comes down to us. The first one is the amount of decisions that we are making every single day, and we need to try to reduce that. People used to make fun of Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg for just wearing the same clothes every single day. But the reason that they did that is because they had to make so many big decisions every single day. They just wanted to reduce it. Okay. And hey, worked out for them. But the other thing that we have to pay attention to is context switching. Context switching is a massive drain on your energy because what ends up happening is you might be sitting here dealing with a work-related issue and then all of a sudden you get a call and your kid's sick at school and then you got to come back to this, but it takes that much more energy to get back into the meeting than if you were just flowing with it. We feel that resistance whenever there's a break in something that we're working really actively at. So this is why deep work can be so powerful, taking 2 to 4 hours just to focus on one thing. A lot of times you'll get more done in that 2 to 4 hours than you would doing it broken up over the course of an entire month. So that's something that we have to pay attention to is the number of micro decisions we have to make on a daily basis, figuring out how to reduce those, but then also making sure that we're not doing a lot of context switching when we need to focus on something. So one of the first things I want you to do is shift your mentality from mental energy and physical energy being two different things. At the end of the day, it's all working off the same battery. Going back to the chess example, if they're going to burn 2,000 playing chess over a few hours just sitting there using mental energy, guess what? You burn about 700 to 800 calories running nonstop on a treadmill for an hour. Think about it like this. Have you ever gone to a conference where you're sitting there all day in a room, 8 to 5, doing a training with maybe a lunch break, and then you get back to your hotel room at the end of the night and you're just absolutely exhausted? Well, you didn't actually do anything. You were just sitting there for the most part in a static position all day. but you were learning, you were taking in lots of information. Your brain was having to process these things. That's why you were so physically tired. You were burning energy. This is why, as leaders, we have to be aware of this, because leadership is physically expensive. And if we spend all of our time focused on noise, we're not going to have any time left to put it towards signal. Success in a situation like this is actually kind of like weird math. You have to subtract in order to be able to multiply. If you add, it's actually going to be the thing that ends up subtracting. So 2 practical things that you can do is eliminate having to make repeat decisions by either just deciding on them once and forever or delegating that decision completely. And then the other thing that you can really do is cut all the different inputs before adding any effort towards something. A lot of times we feel that we need a lot more data, or we need more opinions, or we have to get more insights in order to do something. The military leaders of this country are notorious for saying that any major operation that they've ever made a decision on, they were only able to do with 60 to 70% of the full picture. So if that's good enough for them for a full-scale military operation, that's good enough for us. So if this hit, just remember, it's probably not a motivation problem. It's probably not a caffeine problem. It's a clarity problem. There's too much chaos going on around you. And in order to find clarity, we need to subtract some things. And if you can do that, guess what? You'll find that you'll have a lot more energy left over at the end of the day, and you'll be able to make decisions a lot faster.